Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. I kicked my wife of 14 years out for cheating for the 6th time. This might be a lengthy one. I'll do my best to make it as brief as possible. I'm a 37-year-old man. I was married for 10 years and had been with her for 14 years. I discovered she was cheating on me again 4 months ago. A little background information. My soon-to-be ex and I got off to a rocky start in our relationship. She had an affair with me while she was still seeing her ex-boyfriend. She stated she was leaving him at the time and that she slept apart from him. That it was all over with them. I really should have known better. So we began dating, and after just a week, she's already riding around with her ex. She said she was just giving him a ride because she felt awful. That was a big sign for me, but I hadn't had a partner in 2 years at the time, so desperation may have played a role in my choice. I was feeling lonely. As a result, I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt and stick with her. She had nowhere to go after she moved out of her ex's apartment, so I began sneaking her into the place I was living, risking being tossed out just so she might have us somewhere to stay. At the time, I was residing with my grandma. When I was found sneaking her in, my grandma told me she wasn't welcome anymore. So, instead of cutting it up, I moved out with her since I had nowhere else to go. We ended up spending the night at my sister's childhood friend's father's place. We spent the night in a garage. My stepfather's aunt then took us in. For a while, everything was perfect. In terms of our relationship, that first year was the only nice year we had. So all this time has passed, and she has only worked 4 or 5 months of the first year. She was then dismissed. So I worked and tried to help us as much as I could. So, with the support of my stepfather, we got our own house. This was my first time living on my own. It's also hers. Everything was going swimmingly until she became pregnant. I was overjoyed since I had always wanted to be a father. I adored my daughter beyond anything else. We got into trouble since she didn't work, and I was the only one who could support us. Unfortunately, I worked in a low-wage job and didn't earn much money. So we borrowed money from a man she met via a mutual acquaintance. That was okay, but what I didn't realize was that she had begun sleeping with him. He was roughly 60 years old and she was 21. This is her first time cheating. She attempted to convince me that he had told her tales about his time in jail and how he had murdered someone and gotten away with it, and that if she didn't sleep with him, he would kill me. For at least 3 months, she had a regular affair with him. I was devastated when I discovered the truth. I couldn't believe she'd sleep with this guy in our bed, with our kid not more than 20 feet away. My daughter was just a year old, so I stopped her from visiting him and attempted to straighten things out for the sake of our kid. We all make errors. How am I to judge? I reasoned, so I persuaded myself that she was speaking the truth when she said he was forcing her. So we filed a police complaint, went to court, and then nothing happened. Turns out he never went to jail and never murdered anybody, so her narrative seemed a bit far-fetched after that. But I maintained the connection, believing it was a one-time thing. I was mistaken. Not even a month later, I receive a phone call from some random man informing me that she's been talking to him and even went to visit him when she was supposed to be out searching for work and I was at home caring for our baby. He was upset with her for not leaving me for him, so he revealed her identity to me. To cut a long tale short, I forgave once more. Then, approximately 6 months later, a random lady phones to inform me that she's been emailing nudes to her partner, with whom she has children. She wanted to tell me what my ex was up to because she was as upset as I was. Once again, forgiveness. So, at this point in the tale, I make the decision to marry her. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Let her know that I'm still interested in her, even if she's made errors. She is my child's mother. I can't simply throw her out and let my kid grow up with divided parents, can I? That was something I didn't want to do to my kid. So, when we married, we relocated to another state. I believe we can make a new beginning. Away from all the unpleasant memories. We can start again. Unfortunately, I was not psychologically prepared to just pretend that nothing had occurred. I didn't trust her at all, which became a major issue. She worked hard for a time to show she could be trusted and that she was sorry for what she had done to me, but she cheats again. Not straight away, but shortly after we relocated. My kid was the first to be born. Then she decided to cheat once again. This time, she was emailing naked pictures to random strangers on the internet. She would email nudes to anybody who would give her the time of day. She's not unattractive either. And I catch her again, and she tears and apologizes and vows she'll never do it again. And, once again, I don't want to split up my family because she harmed me. I can take it for my kids, I reasoned. We're in our third or fourth year together. Keep in mind that she has been staying at home the whole while I have been working. So she had the whole day to do anything she wanted, and I had to live in fear of what she may do. So at the time my kid turned 4, I discovered she was doing it again, but this time she was sending nudists to everyone she could. I mean, she sent the man next door naked, and another neighbor told me about it. Then, 6 months later, I discovered she was chatting to roughly 30 individuals online at the same time. She had 193 nudists in maybe 30 or 40 movies that she sent to random folks. Her mother provided her a hidden phone so she could cheat. Don't get me wrong, I was far from perfect. I was very furious, very suspicious, and quite wounded. As a result, I experienced more terrible days than good. So I attempted to accept blame for perhaps pushing her to cheat since I was a jerk at times. It is difficult to forgive someone who has cheated. It's difficult to appear as if everything is okay or to persuade oneself that everything is well. But I didn't want to split up my family. I didn't want my children to go through it. As a result, I remained. We moved to a new home not long after that, my current residence. Everything seemed to be in order, but I was once again mistaken. This time, she met a strange man on the internet. I invited him to our place while working second shift and was sleeping in our bed with him once again. She said she used condoms this time, but I got gonorrhea. Even in her admissions, she lied. But I persisted. We've been together for 12 years at this time. I told myself that if she did it again, I would make her leave no matter what, and that's exactly what I did. She sort of let herself down the previous time. She was watching a TikTok and was experimenting with a new filter, which she wanted me to try as well. So she offers her phone to me, and there it is. There were more nudes in the thumbnails of the most recent images taken. So I asked what this is, and she responds, "Oh, I was going to mail them to you." I should have known better. As a result, she confessed, again, and I informed her politely that she had to go. It took her 2 months, but she was ultimately able to go. That was almost 2 months ago. I was polite. I didn't shout or holler. I never threatened to take the kids. Actually, I promised her I'd do a no-fault, no-contest divorce if she simply did 2 things. Please let me know when you start dating someone. As a last note, please keep that individual away from our children until the connection is serious. She gave me an STD, so she's not exactly the greatest character judge. I don't want to be concerned about who she brings around our kids. That didn't seem like too much to ask. I was once again mistaken. Many red flags have been raised in the last 5 weeks, and I'm almost certain she's already seeing someone. And that to me is a kick in the balls. I'd even assisted her in moving into her new home, and she waited approximately 3 weeks before dating again. I reasoned, do you have no shame? Do I mean so little to you that you'd do something like this again in a matter of weeks? It demonstrated to me that she has never really cared about me and is just concerned with herself and achieving what she wants, with no consideration for me herself or, most importantly, our children. Now, my tale is a little jumbled, but I'm emotional simply reliving it all. So please accept my apologies. This is why I chose to share it here. We had no one when we first got here. We're the only ones. There are no friends or relatives. We're the only ones. That has been the case for the last 10 years. There is no one to babysit. There is no one else to enjoy the holidays with but each other. Almost everyone in my family has died. Other than my children, I only have one family member, and I don't want to bother him if I don't have to. So I reasoned that expressing myself here could make me feel a bit better. So after approximately 3 weeks of going around with this uneasiness, I invited her to my place so we could chat. She wouldn't speak to me until I told her what I wanted to discuss. I told her I'd prefer chat in person, but she refused. So I gave in and quietly asked her who she was seeing. She quickly grew defensive, telling me that we were no longer together and that it was none of my concern. So I told her that we're still married, and that dating before we're formally divorced is still adultery, and that what you're exposing my children to is entirely up to her. As a result, she began threatening me in court, saying that if I attempt to get her in trouble, she would tell them about our argument 3 years ago. We had been bickering, and she had attempted to go down my 50-yard gravel driveway barefoot since she was inebriated. As a result, I held her shoulders to protect her from chopping up her feet. Because she phoned her mother weeping, her mother's boyfriend, who lives in another state, contacted the police. They accused me with DV because she had minor bruises on her arms. So I did PTI and had the case dismissed and my record wiped. But she threatens me whenever she gets upset. Now, I know that in my state, they would give me custody and force her to pay child support. That's not what I'm looking for. My children would suffer if I mistreated her. If she is important to them, she must be important to me. I have no other option. My children are important to me, but I'm worried about who she'll bring around them and what she'll say in court. Starting difficulties that aren't really essential. I divided all of our belongings and money. I was polite. Allow her time to locate a place. I felt sympathetic to her situation, since she was more disturbed than I was 4 months earlier. But now I feel like I'm yesterday's garbage. She doesn't care that she's causing me pain. So it all struck me today, and I burst into tears. I'm missing her. Do you believe it? I know it's pitiful. I'd never be with her or trust her again. Yet I miss her terribly. Even right now. It makes me feel helpless. I feel lonely because I'm lonely. I don't have any friends or relatives to speak to here. I'm unable to communicate with my children. I can't even see a psychologist since I don't have any insurance at work. I'm screaming and dying on the inside. I'm at a loss on what to do to get rid of this dreadful feeling. So now I'm boring you with my narrative since I don't have anybody else. I can't believe she would treat me this way after all I've done for her. She behaves as though I'm the one who should apologize. So I'm at a loss as to what to do next. Now that she's threatened me, I need to start collecting proof, I reasoned, evidence of her deception, as well as evidence of her bad judgment. But that's something I truly don't want to do. I contacted a lawyer. I considered hiring a private investigator. I simply don't want things to go to that point. Most of all, I'm wounded and perplexed, and heartbreaking. Thank you for reading this all the way through. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story. Even though I got some of my frustrations out, it still doesn't feel any better. I'm simply feeling empty and lonely. I know it's cliché, but it's how I actually feel. How can someone who professes to love and care for you treat you as if you don't matter because they're angry? She's acting as though I'm the one who cheated. It is really uncomfortable. Anyway, I'm certain that it will improve with time. I'm sure I could find someone who would treat me well. I'm never going to allow her back into my life, and I know what's most important to me are my children. But I'm in a lot of pain right now. I simply want this to be over. It's incapacitating. Take this one piece of advice if you're still reading this. Don't pretend to be pleased if you aren't. It will not work. In fact, it will aggravate the situation. Don't settle for anything, even relationships. I feel like a complete. Nobody I know would forgive someone who has cheated so many times. The first time she cheated, most people I know would have broken it off. And I didn't do it. As a result, I now feel like a who has been exploited and mistreated. I accept responsibility for my actions in our relationship. But I do not deserve it. Or maybe I do, I'm not sure. For the time being, I'm going to attempt to concentrate on my children and my career, taking everything one day at a time.